crazy. I appreciate you so much today. I just, I love our chit chats. And I was like, this needs to be extended.
Well,
This
thank
needs to be
you.
extended. Yeah. And
Oh,
there was a post that I did about the erasure of Black women,
mhm,
especially, as we get older. And it really resonated with a lot of
mhm,
people.
mhm,
And, though we amongst ourselves are always acutely aware of what it is, but it also feels very isolating
mhm,
when you're not aware that you're not the only one feeling this.
mhm.
But more so when I was looking over the musical landscape, like the conversations that you and I have online, there's always Ebro or someone like that with a younger woman.
Mhm.
There's not MC Light
Mhm.
and the younger woman having a conversation about hip hop.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so our voices are distinctly missing. But specifically when we talk about Kendrick, I felt like it was like me and you.
Yeah. It's me and you, and then like my offline friends.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but online, like the conversation, but specifically for Kendrick because he's so genius
Mhm.
that we're like, but the guys are all talking about this. Where are the voices of Black women?
Yeah. And the
Yeah.
thing with Kendrick too is that Kendrick is what we thought hip hop was going to go to when we were
Right.
younger. Like when
Right.
I was in college listening to De La and because De La Soul Stakes is High is like all time favorite album of all time.
Really.
Taking over Midnight Marauders, which was my
Mm-hmm. Right.
um, but like I thought this was the natural progression of hip hop.
I did
Kendrick
too.
was the natural progression of hip hop, and I think
Yeah.
that I know I checked out of hip hop because I was like, okay, I don't know what's going on. It's not for me.
It's
So
not
I
for me.
was a late readopter to Kendrick.
Okay.
He just was part of that class.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that is the genius, well, so many levels of genius about his hip hop, his performance during the Super Bowl. To hear people singing 40 Acres and a Mule and they not like us, but he's talking about them. And that he did, the 40 Acres and a Mule part was not in the song. And he added it right where he knew they would pick up and make it catchy. And he held an entire protest rally on the biggest stage ever
Mhm.
and made people say, oh, it was boring.
Yeah, yeah. And I had to stop myself from watching it because I was like, all right, relax. Um, but it was so interesting to me that he not only did he do that, but people had to go out of their way not to understand it. Like
Yes.
they had to work really, really hard. I saw people, and I put the video on, but like people who wanted it to be about everything but Black people.
Right.
And oh my God, it was about the healthcare system. It was about uh, capitalism. It was about everything but Black people.
Right.
There's that. And then there's the people who like, oh, it was nothing. He didn't do enough. Those are like the two.
The two. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was hearing the same thing. I think what's been most fascinating to me, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the after the performance. I feel as though subconsciously people they really know it was radical. And in
Mhm.
order to bring it down, in order for it to be digestible, they had to start memifying him.
Mhm.
So it became like these caricatures, and we're talking about his jeans, and
Mhm.
I've never seen this many cartoons of a Black man.
Girl, I've been a bully. I'm just gonna say that. I've been
Good.
leaping into comment sections
Same.
and stitching and not stitching, retweeting and quote tweeting and like first of all, there's a woman who a white woman, of course, had a doll, a crocheted doll.
I saw that. I saw that. And it's the doll, the cute cheeks, the little, this gap tooth smile. It looks like a little chipmunk. I'm like,
Mhm.
this was radical.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "You'll never get over this violence."
Mm-hmm.
It was,
Mm-hmm. He
but it was up
said,
here
you won't get the picture unless if even if I
in
set
the
you one of
Louvre.
the Louvre.
You'll never
And
get it.
the thing that made it so much more radical for me was that because he's a freaking prophet. We'll talk about it later, but
Yeah,
he predicted the reaction,
he
and he made
did.
sure that he accounted for every single thought that somebody would come up with.
He
And
did.
yeah, he
He
made people
did.
work to misunderstand it because there's no way you could have possibly.
But I think that that is the work to misunderstand the story of Black people in America and
Mhm.
Black people across the diaspora and the harm that's been done. Like, people work really hard to act like they don't understand or take accountability, which, nobody wants to do. But
I
it was brilliant on so many levels. But the stagecraft around it, the thought behind it, uh, the game controller.
Oh my god.
We're just sitting here. We're all like, "Wait, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
The lights in the background. Okay, I want to kind of rewind it because we will go off. We'll go way off. But okay, so it's almost a year since this started,
Mhm.
and when he came out of nowhere and was on and took over Future Song, really and truly is what he did.
Yeah.
I'm at that time. He had to have signed up for the Super Bowl by then.
They start planning the next year a week after the end of the Super Bowl.
Okay,
They've
well,
already figured out right now who's doing
yeah,
next year,
yeah,
or they're talking about it.
they would have
This
had to.
this idea that they waited to see if he beat Drake before
Right?
they asked him,
No,
and then you see the scale of the
yeah.
show. There's no way he did that in 6 months.
There's no way.
There's no way.
There's no way. It literally started immediately.
Mhm.
Like, even securing Sam Jackson.
Mhm.
It had to. It's not like Sam is like somebody who we never see. So for him to pop out on that song and to predict Drake's moves, I don't think he could have planned for it to go better.
My friends think I'm insane, but you can't tell me that man is not a prophet.
You can't
You
tell
cannot
me he's
tell
not.
me, like, even with the things, we're all over the place, but even with, like, oh, there's a mole, people are like, who's the mole? I say, he's the mole.
He's the
God is
one.
the mole. God is the mole. That's how he's figured this out. What are y'all talking about?
But he says it about himself. He says it about himself. And I think because it sounds so crazy, it's easy for people to like poo poo.
Yeah.
But he calls himself a prophet. He says he's reincarnated on almost every
Every
project.
song. He said, spirit medium, I don't rap, brother. Like, he tells us, I am, what is it? I'm the alpha and omega.
I'm the alpha. I am the omega.
Yeah.
What? So yeah, so for him to start that and use Drake as the perfect foil
Mhm.
for people who are in our culture
Mhm.
but don't have any real attachment to the culture. I don't think I had ever really given Drake the thought and consideration that he deserved. But I think it was, for me, that was an indictment on me
Mhm.
that he doesn't do anything for the community. And it's really profiteering.
Yeah.
And he's slinging product like this is crack.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're out here, having a good time, but why aren't we keeping our art?
I think it goes back to what I was saying, that Drake was the hiccup when it came to how hip hop was supposed to progress. My
Yeah.
little brother has been anti Drake since the beginning. I
Yeah.
thought he was harmless. I remember being in Brooklyn watching Degrassi, way too old to be watching Degrassi, but I liked it. So I was like, oh, how cute. The kid from Degrassi's rapping. That's
Right.
cute. Good for him. Because at that point, he seemed like he really, really loved the genre and he
Yeah.
was really a student of it.
Right.
I went to Nigeria for about 2.5 to 3 years back and forth.
Okay.
I came back in 2016.
Okay.
Drake was huge. I was like, what? What
Ima-
happened? What happened? Where did this come from? I had no idea where it happened.
yeah.
And because my driver in Lagos, he was a big Drake fan, and I was like, all right, well, good for you. I listened to like views every time he drove, but
Right.
I how cute, adorable. Came back and I was like, this is a superstar. This is 10 number one albums or whatever the hell.
Whatever. Right.
But what my brother has been saying from the very beginning is that they perfected Elvis.
They did.
They found Elvis who could say the N word, who could
Mm-hmm.
infiltrate, who could just slide right on in and
Mm-hmm.
take over and let him take over for, again, that's why I think Kendrick is a prophet. And Kendrick was like, no, no.
No. And because we've seen it happen over and over again, and we are written out of our own story. And
Mhm,
when you said that about Midnight Marauders, I think about, we probably went to, I'm older than you, but we went to college in that same area.
mhm.
And how big of a deal it was when MC Hammer got those commercials, and how angry people in here,
Sellout.
they were so angry. You just think about like the gas face and all of
Mhm.
those things, that people were so angry. And looking back on it, they were correct.
Yeah,
They were correct. And
yeah,
it's almost like you don't want to say stuff like it should be a closed practice, but it kind of should. Like we
yeah,
see Beyonce having to say, we invented this. And they're like, no, I don't know. This is
yeah,
ours. What do you mean it's yours? It's not yours.
yeah.
But it
Or it's everybody's.
it's
It's
everyone.
universal, which means
Yeah.
it's for white people eventually.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you were late to coming to Kendrick.
Mhm.
I started listening to him probably like 2012, somewhere around there. My husband is a huge hip hop head, but I was back in college at the time. We were in Florida, and he came to do their homecoming at Florida Atlantic University, and the kids they were so hyped. I'm like, well, I want to go, and I went, and he was the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh. So the song that really helped me to understand that Kendrick was on something else was Sing About Me, Dying of Thirst.
Oh my God.
If I Die Before This Album Dropped, had me weeping in the car.
Yeah.
And to speak on the voice of the girl, and her voice was still talking and
Just
trailing
fading
off,
away. Yeah. I'll never fade away. I'll never fade away. And then just
and just still,
actually, yeah, you hear her, but you don't hear her.
I was like, this is a movie? But it's the story that we've never had an opportunity to hear from our generation of people, Gen X, elder millennials, who were a part of the environment that involved the crack and people's parents being lost to the system,
Yeah.
whole communities being robbed.
Yeah.
And these are the stories that we never had a chance to tell, because by that time the commercialism had kicked in.
Hmm.
And it made me realize, just that one song, like, oh, we have a whole bunch of stories. We have a whole bunch of stories. Which song was your favorite? Like, what was the one that made you realize?
Like an all of it, like from the beginning,
The
or
one that caught you, yeah, from the beginning, that you
the
were
one that
just,
caught me, it was actually he performed on SNL. He
that was
did
a great performance.
I on SNL,
Yes.
and I'm a movement person. Like even
Mm.
when I was doing spoken word, like movement was like what your body is doing. You're
Right.
standing there, but what is your body doing as you're standing there? Like
Yeah.
that's and to see him use his body as an extension of his voice, and then
Mm-hmm.
use his voice as an extension of like as part of the instrumental behind him.
Mm-hmm.
There's just something about the way that he moves that grabbed me. So
Yeah.
after I heard that, I was like, okay, okay. And then I went back and listened to Pimp a Butterfly, and to see the way that he told this story and
Mm-hmm.
kept adding a line to this poem, adding a line to this poem, adding a line to this poem, um, and just seeing the story that he was writing with his
Mm-hmm.
words, with his
Mm-hmm.
music, with the songs, and then getting to Mortal Man and hearing Tupac. I literally start crying when I heard Tupac's voice. I just, okay, well, we're crying now.
Right.
Um, so listening to that made me go back to. I started with Overly Dedicated, Section 80, and then Good Kid, Mad City.
That was it.
It was a wrap for me.
That
It was
was
a
that was
wrap.
it. There's nothing in rap. I'm sitting here. I'm looking at my record album collection. No, there's nothing in rap that I listen to the same way that I would go back and read Morrison or Baldwin.
Hmm. Yeah,
And I feel as though because black women aren't in these conversations, it stays in this very, testosterone, comparing it to sports and all of
yeah.
this stuff. And as we both were saying, like Drake was the vehicle to use as an example for this. I think Kendrick waited his whole career to use Drake for this example
Oh,
to
he started
show. I can't. It doesn't
the
even sound the
control
same.
verse, the BET cipher. Like they're little. Like people are like, oh, he's obsessed with Drake. No, he's obsessed with the idea of preventing a Drake from taking over the game he loves,
Right.
that
Yes.
moves him, that he breathes. Like
Right.
he is such a child of hip hop, a student of hip hop, uh, the rightful heir
Mm-hmm.
to the throne. I feel like he righted something
He did.
in the culture, in the
He
world,
did.
um,
And that we don't
and it
normally
gave
get to see it. We don't normally get to see the right. We don't normally get to see it made right.
no at all. And one thing
No.
that I really appreciated when you had the video about like dissecting it, like what do you hear,
Mm-hmm.
it made me so happy because I do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I catch things, I'm looking around like, who do I talk to? And I'm Googling and I'm looking at TikTok videos and I'm looking at YouTube videos and I'm like, nobody picked up on this. Nobody's connecting this part. No one realized that this part of this song connects with the album like 3 albums ago.
3 albums
Like
ago. Yeah.
he's there's something that I heard the other, because my favorite album right now is Mr. Morale. I listen to it like 2 or 3 times a week. I
That's
think it's I think
it's brilliant.
it's brilliant. And what it does as far as maturing hip hop
Mm-hmm.
in a way that I feel like I'm obsessed with Drake. The way that Drake is like immaturing hip hop.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Kendrick showing what it looks like to grow within the genre instead of having to grow out of it.
Right. Because
People
when
think that,
like Andre 3000 said that the reason he doesn't do music anymore is because he's like, what should I talk about? A prostate exam? And like, I get what you're saying because
yeah,
we've never seen someone open their diary up and read it to us.
yeah, yeah, and show us his process. And again goes back to what I love about poetry. Like he bled, like he was living without skin in front of us, and showing us what it felt like, what it looked like to be flawed and keep
Mm-hmm.
moving, to be
Mm-hmm.
flawed and to embrace the parts of you that create who you are, good or bad,
Mm-hmm.
and keep it moving and
Yeah.
keep going.
Yeah. Especially as a black man.
Hmm. Especially as the black man.
Yeah, we've not been able to see someone be so honest and not care if it's not received.
Hmm.
He had to do it in that order.
Hmm.
This wouldn't have mattered if we didn't see him already strip himself down to the studs
Yeah.
then build himself back up as the powers that are in him as a prophet. I'm just going to say it because you don't want to say it.
Man's a prophet.
I mean, that was the thing that, I mean, amongst so many things with Tupac, was that he was right there at the door.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Kendrick, the tension for him is that he doesn't want to be like Tupac and leave before he gets a chance to leave a blueprint.
Yeah.
Because by the time, so we're jumping back to the battle. The battle.
Let's
By
go.
the time he got to meet the Grams
Oh, Meet the Grams.
and said, "Dear Adonis, your daddy ain't shit, but I'm a write this for you, so when you get older, you can come back and listen to this because I am a man. Your dad's not a man."
When he said, it takes a man to be a man. Your dad is not responsive. Is what? What?
I've listened to that song twice. It was the music alone. I was like,
He's great. I heard Dear Adonis and I paused. And I was like, okay, I'm not ready. Whatever's going to happen right now, I am woefully unprepared.
woefully unprepared. We'll never have those, that, what, 2 weeks or so back where we were all like, wait, what?
You know what kills me about that too? People were like, oh, Drake and Kendrick. No, Drake gave us one song and stopped. Kendrick gave us 5
He was
and
not
kept
taking.
moving.
He didn't take
No
Kendrick
back and forth. It
seriously.
was back and forth.
I was like, Thursday and then Friday morning. I can't. It was truly epic. We needed for it to end with the little dancey dance. And again, he clearly had this planned out.
Oh, from the beginning.
I don't know if he could have ever predicted it would work this well, but maybe he did.
Well, one of the things that I when I was listening to GNX, there were so many. The 5 + 5 were in GNX. Like you could see so many of the repurposed lyrics and so many of the this is the idea, but because he stopped, I stopped. Um, like Squabble Up, TV Off, of course. And I think about, even though he knew that Drake was going to take it there.
Yeah.
He knew. He had studied him. He knew he was going to do that. But the off chance that he didn't, he had those prepared and ready to go.
Yeah.
But Drake in Meet the Grams, when he says, you lied about the only artist that could offer you some help.
You lied.
You lied about, and I was like, okay, clearly that's you. So at what point did you try to step in here? That I wonder. I mean, we might never know, but
you might never know.
That makes and even the way Drake takes it, Drake took it so personally, that it had he knows as well.
Yes.
So of course he knows, but
he's never going to tell us, because it made me think about this quote from Lionel Richie. He said, "The thing about fame that is so horrible is that you get everything you want, but can you survive it?" Yeah, and that might just be that. Like, even though Just is doing heavy work there, but who knows? Like, but I agree with you. Like, something occurred, and Kendrick knows, but then Kendrick also knows that Drake was doing some crazy stuff to a bunch of people.
I didn't know all that when
I didn't know it either.
Because it's interesting, because when I was like, no one's saying stop, no one's jumping in. He's got no support. I was like, that's how you have those many years in the industry, and nobody has even the people like 21 Savage didn't say anything.
He didn't, which that goes back to the using our culture, but not being a part of the culture. And one of the things that I thought of, like even starting with Squabble Up, is squabbling and play fighting and talking trash during playing spades and all those kind of things. They're black things.
It's no secret handshake with your friends.
it's what we do.
Yeah.
You can talk about each other, but nobody from outside better not come in here trying that mess.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that Drake doesn't know how to squabble,
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't know how to do a play fight.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't know how to take someone talking about them and either flip it back on them or say nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And that he had to leave the country and go to the other side of the world
Mm-hmm.
because he couldn't figure out what to do. He couldn't do anything because he doesn't know black
He
people.
doesn't know. And as much as people say, oh, he went to Memphis in the summers, the fact that there's no favorite cousin,
Mm-mm.
there's no best friend at his dad's house, or you know what I mean? Like, there's none of that.
There's
Therefore,
nothing.
to me, them saying, oh, he goes to Memphis, no, because
Mm-mm.
there's no connection there either, except for the
No.
fact that that's where your dad was, and that's not
Right.
enough of a connection. And you're absolutely right, like, because we know, don't talk about my mama and don't talk about my girl. Those are two things you don't do.
You don't do.
And that's what Drake does every single time.
Every single time. And Kendrick told him, keep it a fair fight. Let's make it a fair one.
Mm-hmm.
I won't take it there.
Mm-hmm.
I can,
Mm-hmm.
but let's not do that. But that Drake doesn't, and that goes back to what you were saying about how you checked out of hip hop when it went into this whole kind of hyper consumerism, capitalist kind of stuff. The
Singing
only
like
parts
songs,
of
but not really type
right,
thing. Yeah.
right. So the only thing that Drake really was talking about was everything that was perceived to be negative that all people do. But
Mm-hmm.
that was the thing that he focused in with black people. So strippers and guns and drug dealers and
Mm-hmm.
all of those things. And we've had several projects back to back from Kendrick that have not centered any of those things.
Mm-hmm.
None.
No.
None of them. And I think it's because it's a disconnect from black culture as a whole.
I
What do you
saw
think?
a YouTube video. It's just, again, like I said, I watched everything, so my algorithm was just like, oh, you want more? Here's more. And
Same.
I saw one that was like all the songs from the battle, but I switched the next song as soon as we hear somebody uses the N word. Someone says nigga.
Mm-hmm.
We're listening to verses and mad like 5, 4, whatever minutes of Kendrick without him
Mm-hmm.
getting to the N word.
Right.
We're like 2 or 3 lines in when it comes to Drake. 2 or 3 lines in.
You
Like,
told me to want to hear him say it no more.
yeah. And then the way that this again, that people aren't talking about. I've never seen a black person weaponize nigga, and he weaponized it in Family Matters. Nigga, I said it. What?
He did.
Yeah,
I don't want to hear you say it anymore.
yeah.
I
Because
want
it
you
sounds
to
weird, and you use it as a weapon, and not like the term of endearment it's supposed to be.
right. It's like, it's just weird, I guess.
Yeah.
It could just be me.
Some shit
I,
just cringe, bro. They ain't
right.
got to be
Looking
deep.
around. It could be me. It could be me. It might not be them.
That's another thing I love about Kendrick. That he's actually playful.
He's very funny.
Euphoria, just hilarious. But I hurt your feelings. You don't be friends with me no more. Okay.
What is it? The braids?
What is it, right?
Oh, you got a new hairstyle like a bad bitch. You come in here acting brand new. What is it?
The
Is it the
brain.
braids, girl?
Oh my gosh.
That's really how it came across.
Were you in the battle from the very beginning? Like, did you listen to like that like
I did.
in
I
real
did.
time?
I did.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, my husband, he's a hip hop head.
Mm-hmm.
So the fun thing is, I've shared this before, but all of those things back there are concert tickets. And so we if we could be angry, we're gonna talk about music. So he was, like, did you know that it was a new song? Like, no, let me go check it out. And then after that, we were both just locked in. So it's a great conversation. Um, but yeah, it's so much to it,
Mm-hmm.
and I really like when you were saying about the sound, it brought me back to in Hey Now, the beginning of it, and this screeching sound in the underneath it. It's like, oh, he's walking.
What?
Skirt, 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 skirt.
Oh my God.
Right. It's like, oh, it's, and it almost sounds like that basketball court skirt.
Yeah.
And I was like, are we supposed to be taking all of this away? This is what I'm saying to my husband. He's like, I think we are.
He's too intentional.
Yes.
There's no mistake.
No
He's
mistake. And
too
so, like, what is it? Whacked Out Murals, when he's saying, listening to Anita Baker, and you could hear the trunk rattle.
Yeah.
So we're getting like a Scorsese like
It's
movie,
a movie.
but it's for us.
Yeah.
And to invite other people to come and sit, but you are not centered,
Mm-hmm.
is something that is the reason why I really wanted to talk to you, because Black women know that.
Mm-hmm.
We know we're going to come in and put in our best work,
Mm-hmm.
but we
And
will
cover
not,
all the bases.
never,
Yeah.
never. And that we've been such an integral part of this. So I have no idea why we allowed this to happen, but we're done allowing it to happen.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, so we're done. So on GNX, do you have a favorite?
Tee off comes to mind immediately, but also the last verse of Man in the Garden, also reincarnated,
Mm.
also
Yeah,
also AZ Chike and Peekaboo, also
so good.
yeah.
And that he had so many people who we didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
And
The
that's why I
world's
said he'd be,
eyes were on him. That's what he
yeah,
chose to do. I do wish that, and I again, I trust this man, trust him off a cliff. I wish there were female hip hop
yes,
artists,
yes.
but
For someone who doesn't understand what that kind of trauma during that Biggie and Tupac era
yeah,
did to all of us collectively, I
yeah,
would imagine that could be something that could very well be true.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
same,
remember both like where I was and what I was doing when somebody
same.
Tupac died. Where I
Yeah,
was, what I was doing when somebody told me the big died. But there was a an interview that he did with that Drake did with Elliot Wilson where he's like, I live this rap life. These other people, they go home to their families. I live this rap life. I was like, first of all, you're making it sound like going home to their families is like there's something
uh,
wrong with that. That's
right. But
that's what
he's
that's
talking about
pathology for you.
clubs. And,
Mhm.
yeah, the street,
Clubs and street life.
and that's not rap life, nor is it Black life.
No, it's
So
black life for people who don't know black people.
for people who don't know Black people,
Mhm.
because our lives are just as wide and varied and nuanced as everyone else's,
Yeah.
and beautiful. And I think that for me, I feel like Kendrick is like a Marvin Gaye or
Okay.
someone like that makes our lives, even the difficult parts, he explains it in such a way that it has honor and reverence to it,
Mm-hmm.
and beauty,
Mm-hmm.
and beauty. Luther came out of
Oh my God, I
absolutely,
forgot about Luther. How did I forget about Luther? Yes.
the production on it was insane. I mean, the production on all of it is insane.
What was your first thought when? Oh, sorry, I don't mean to
Go
interrupt.
ahead, no, go ahead.
No, no, no. Like, what was your first thought when? Because you hear nothing,
Hmm.
and then it drops, and you hear Luther.
I had to stop it. I was like, this is so Black. This is so Black.
Yeah.
But it was the beauty that we're talking about. Like, there are few artists where people was like, now listen, you can sing whatever you want to sing, but don't go over there.
Yeah.
And Luther is one of those places that it means so much to us on a broad scale. His voice,
Mm-hmm.
there's not another one like it. And to be able to use it in that way, that these two are talking about this very regular love. If it was up to me, like those kind of things where I would take you, I would kill your enemies in front of God.
Mm-hmm.
I love you like that.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I would love to see you after work when I get off my shift. That kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
With Luther? Oh my gosh. How about you? What was your response?
I remember thinking, oh, who's Luther? And right after I said, who's Luther? Luther said,
Luther.
it's me. I'm Luther.
It's the Luther.
Yeah, it's Lufa.
It's Luther.
I, again, things that I watch over and over. It's the live of him at the NAACP Awards singing House is Not a Home.
And he walking past that microphone. Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh.
I opened for Luther in 2000 and
Did you?
yeah, in 2001. I think he died in like
Go
2020,
around there.
24. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was 2021. It was back when the Soul Beach music festival was
Okay.
in Soul Beach in South Beach. Oh no, it was South Beach. They call
This
it
stuff.
Soul Beach.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I opened for him and I remember I didn't get to meet him, going out, poetry things, and then going to sit in the audience. And I remember as a young child, I was 20 or something. And no, I wasn't, I was like 25. And I'm sitting in the audience and all these like, you know, old women,
Hot
probably
teas.
our age,
Our
now,
age.
but old women, they
Right.
had their makeup out, they're doing their makeup. And I was like,
Right.
first of all, if Luther can even see you, he's not looking at you.
He's not looking
I
at
was just sitting
you.
there judging, like,
Right.
okay, look at these.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
watch. Girl, that man got on stage, started singing, and I almost flew across,
You're like, I get
flew
it now.
out of my seat. I was like, okay, I get it.
I get it, ladies.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
I was a
I
little
understand.
judgy. I was a little judgy.
I understand. So hearing his voice brought me back then, but back there, but like again, and then to see white people not get it
Didn't get it.
and not know who Luther was, I was like, how do white people not know who Luther Vandross is?
Not young ones for sure. No. They have no idea. They barely would know who SWV was. They had no idea about Teddy Pendergrass.
Mm.
Uh and those it wasn't like they were deep cuts no one heard of, but
No.
they were black
Yeah.
in a way that like this is a love letter that is for us. I mean, again, back to Morrison, and you already know, like she just was like, I'm not centering no white people in my books. I'm not interested in that. I'm talking about my people. Why would I
Yeah.
need white people in this book? And I'm not going to explain to you what it is. And I love that it primed us for this moment that we're in now, where people are like, yeah, no, not explaining.
Hmm. Hmm.
We've done enough here.
Yeah.
Across the globe, we've done enough. So yeah, Luther was the one where I said, okay, we're going in a different direction than anything that he's done before, and I don't feel the need for him to ever do it again, because whatever comes next doesn't need to be palatable to even not even white people, but for the community as a whole. There were so many black people who were like, I didn't get it.
Yeah.
Those first days were like, I don't understand it, and then all of a sudden everyone's big fans.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I think we'll go back to whatever it is that he wants to do, but to be quite honest with you, he can retire if he wants to.
I think he's going to.
I hope that he does,
Yeah. I think we get maybe one more album, maybe.
to get the
And then
record label started and
yeah.
up and running really well. And
Nice people playing.
yeah, but I have no need for Kendrick to ever. He's after that project and the Super Bowl performance. There's enough to study forever.
Mm-hmm.
Forever. So my favorites off of G and X, they go back and forth from day to day.
I know.
They go back and forth from day to day. I was listening before we got on. And, of course, Man in the Garden. Because it's a prayer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I deserve it.
And
Oh.
to remember him and you just self-loathing and like I should have killed you a long time ago and you
Mm-hmm.
ain't no prophet, you ain't no like the level of pain
Yeah.
and heartbreak and I always cry when I listen to that. Sometimes I just have to skip it. Like, okay, we can't do this today. I
Right.
got things
Today.
to do.
Right.
I'm busy. But to hear that
Yeah.
and then hear I deserve it all.
I deserve it all.
I deserve, and then Mr. Morale to I deserve it all.
I'm going to go back and listen to Mr. Morale today.
I love Mr. Morale. I love it so much.
Because you're saying some stuff now that I'm understanding the companion. It's the companion to it. That's the internal version of him, and then GNX is the external version.
Yeah, yeah. We
Yeah,
don't get GNX without Mr. Morale.
you can't have it. Like it doesn't exist. It simply doesn't exist. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I have a favorite from GNX today? I feel as though I don't. I listen to it over and over again and just kind of become obsessed with how detailed it is.
It's so good.
It's so good. I learn something every time. But what's been the most interesting thing is that I learned something about myself, which I
Mm-hmm.
feel as though that is what art is for.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times people can't get it because art is what you bring to it. And because it is subjective, then that, you know, feeds into it. But then there are universal things, especially that are part of the Black experience, that cannot be explained.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you see someone else express it or hear someone else express it, it makes you start thinking about things differently. So
Yeah.
yeah, say I don't have a favorite today.
It, there's also the fact that it's also so West Coast specific.
Mm-hmm.
And as somebody who only grew up in the East,
Mm-hmm.
listening to him, like, it's not for me. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to focus on what is for me. And I think about that when it's white people who won't do that,
Mm-hmm.
won't say it's not for me, but I
Right.
appreciate this, that, and the other thing. They
Right.
have to make it about themselves. And I also think that's part of it too. This is very, very West Coast. Let me
Right.
teach you how to listen to things that have nothing to do with you without you inserting yourself into it.
Right. So
White
yeah,
people are always failing at that, but we
and
get it.
failing at it miserably.
Mm-hmm.
And but they don't care to do so. But that is because they don't feel their experience is universal.
Yeah.
And we know that ours is. So like,
Yeah.
oh, so it was California really was, and you can hear it. Like, oh,
Yeah.
I can get it now. I get the rest of it. I can hear where Snoop and everyone else was, all of this was connected together.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of learning about hip hop.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I miss regional hip hop.
I do too.
I miss regional music, but like I miss knowing exactly where
Yes, where
the
something came.
artist is from,
Yeah, I was
what the
listening to
sound is.
another podcast you were on, and they were talking about when you were talking about when you were on Teen Summit, and I miss that. Like I miss where everything had a place that
Mhm.
we could take from,
Mhm.
that we could learn from one another. Like this is what the kids are listening to,
Yeah,
and this is what they're listening to in New York
yeah,
and in the DMV and Florida.
in
Florida's
Texas.
different from Georgia.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
miss it so much, and I hope that Kendrick doing that brings it back.
yeah,
Yeah, like the South does have something to say, and it's not just from Future.
yeah. Oh God, yeah.
It's like,
Oh God, yeah,
I saw an interview where Dre said Future is the most motivational person to do the most horrible stuff. There. These are fair things you're saying.
Accurate. Accurate. It's funny listening to Like That. The first time I heard Like That, I'm sitting here like, ugh. Like this was like, just listen, just listen. Oh,
Right.
oh, God. Oh my God. Okay. All right. We're getting there. We're getting
In
there.
there. I don't know one word of whatever he was saying at all. Say, but as a writer, as a literature person yourself, ma'am, how do you feel about what Kendrick is bringing to that art form? Because it's literature to me.
He's the best writer of all genres right now for me.
Mm.
He's so intricate. He's such a student of words,
Mm-hmm.
and he knows what a word means, and he'll show us what the word means.
Yes.
Or okay, so Mr. Morale, there's a song called "We Cry Together."
Mm-hmm.
Is that the dialogue?
Mm-hmm.
In the very beginning, he said when he's arguing, he says, "You must be bleeding and some more shit." What? I've never heard anybody say, "Are you on your period?"
Right. But
I've never heard anybody say it like
like
that.
that. You must
And
be
he does
bleeding.
that a lot. Like even every dog has its day, so live in your purpose. Like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the way that he turns phrases,
Yes.
I aspire to.
Just on the level of one word and him flipping it and bringing it back and then making it fit someplace two sentences from now. It's brilliant.
The way that he knows exactly how to pronounce a word so that it means three different things and then also fits three different rhymes.
It does. And the voice gets so theatrical.
His voice, the way that he uses his voice is insane to me. I
We
was
don't
just this
it's
morning I
not
was
even
listening
credit.
to but this morning I was listening to the Control verse,
Mm-hmm.
and first of all,
He did the right thing.
leave that man alone.
Leave him alone.
Okay.
Leave him alone.
Leave him alone. There's
Leave
that.
him.
This is 10 years ago, leave him alone.
Yes.
But the way that he shapes, the way that he's like basically saying it's impossible for you to touch me, but then he says it like you're better off trying to skydive with the blah blah
Mm-hmm.
blah. Like
Mm-hmm.
instead
You
of just
test
leave me
me.
alone or you're
Mm-hmm.
not going to do this. But
Mm-hmm.
one of the parts that always gets me, number one, the part where he goes Drake, like he says this so distinctly. He says all these Drake. I'm like, okay, Drake. Why? Like, you hear the way he says your
Do
name?
you hear it? Are you not
Yes,
afraid?
hear
Because
it.
I am.
But when he says Big Sean, J Electron, Tyler
Mm-hmm.
Mac Miller, like J Electronica. But he says he need. I don't even
Right
know how to put
there.
it into words, but it's so. It just
Brilliant.
it just gets me. There's certain things that he does in TV Off when he says it's not enough, and you hear hey.
Hey. Right. Right. Da, da, da. It's not enough. Hey.
And
Yeah.
then when
Yeah.
this thing somebody goes, huh, what?
Wait, but that was Michael Jackson.
Is
That,
it?
yeah, that I there's so many things
Oh my
in
God.
Gen X that I hear as a Gen Xer.
Yeah.
So like he was singing "Don't Take It Personal," but he kept saying it. What song is this? I can't even think right now. But that's Jermaine Jackson. Don't take it personal.
Oh my
The
God.
bitter with the sweet. And then there was some Phil Collins in there.
Yeah, and Man of the Garden.
Yeah, but he also mentioned something. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna send it to you later. I
Please
want
do.
to say it's in Whacked Out Murals, and he was saying something that was very much. It was a lyric to Phil Collins, and I was like, oh, there's so many '80s references in here that go in the car.
Yeah, yeah. That was my thing. People were like, "Oh, he's." I'm used to him doing concept albums. Like this is the concept.
This is the concept.
It is the music you listen to while riding in a GNX.
Yes, so Dodger Blue, which starts out pop, 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 pop. There's four people getting in the car. They're going for a ride.
Kendrick, what are you doing to me?
I told you I wanted to talk to you.
What are you doing?
So, pop, pop, pop. Shh.
Oh my God.
So, so many things that I'm like, this is insane. What are you talking about? We hear the trunk. We hear the music rattling in the trunk. We hear his feet walking. We hear doors slamming and engines turning on. And it's so small, but it's the whole
It's
story. We're listening to this mixtape. He's calling out some names, but he's also doing little small references where you're like, okay, so that was on there too. The Don't Take It Personal, the Phil Collins, the Anita Baker. We're cranking the car up. We hear it rattling in the trunk. All of it. But yeah, now you're not gonna listen to Dodger Blue the same. I love that.
I love Dodger Blue. I forgot to even
Pop,
list it.
pop,
I
pop.
love that song. Oh my God. Those were my favorite parts, but I didn't connect that they were
Yeah,
bulldozing and like the
it's and at four, I think it might be Pharrell. I have to look at it see because that's his thing. But still, that it's the door slamming. It's get in, girl. We getting ready to go for a ride. It's
and the
very
song
LA.
sounds like a car ride
It
to me. Like
does.
just the way that it moves. And
Yes.
he's so good at movement. He's so good at
Mm-hmm.
hearing the thing beyond the thing
Mm-hmm.
and sticking it in there like you were mentioning.
Yeah.
Um I just we're going to be talking about him the way that we were taught to talk about Shakespeare and
I say
Beethoven
that all
and
the
Mozart.
time because it's a better way to learn about language
Mhm.
because it's relatable.
Yeah.
And it would already be done if you were black
Mhm.
because it it's such it's a love of the English language from the perspective of a black person
Mhm.
to take the colonization out of a language that we were forced to learn and express blackness in a way that is honest
Mhm.
is one of the most beautiful things. And like you said, the voice changes get me all the time.
Reincarnation. I don't know how to make friends. I'm a lonely soul.
Come on, we're like, so we going straight into Tupac. And again, we've got Nas, we've got Tupac, we've got Phil Collins, we've got Anita Baker.
Mhm.
We're we're in the car,
Mhm.
and then we get out of the car, and he's giving us a little note written from Gloria to send us off.
And you know what? I thought that. Oh my God. I'm hearing all these car references now that I didn't think, some other car person that I didn't think about. Um, the woefully misunderstood GNX
Mm-hmm.
with I think Hidda J's. I could do without Young Threat, but I'm sure there's a point there. I don't put it against, I don't hold it against them,
Right.
but like the way Hidda J flows
Mm-hmm.
within
Mm-hmm.
this
Yeah.
all makes sense. This
It's
all makes sense.
so it's that's the smoking of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, fun, vibing. I used to go over here and do this. There's the Dodger set. There's
Mhm.
the thing over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is
And
so
then
LA.
part six when he's living in the studio, driving to the studio,
Eating, what did he say? Jack in the Box, Popeyes.
Jack in the Box.
Yeah, didn't matter if he was going to the meetings. Didn't matter
Yeah.
who was
My
who.
only goal was to get J Rock through the
That
door.
was the only thing,
Yeah.
and I was just excited to even be in the room.
Yeah.
And we've all been there, like where
Yeah.
you're like, my friend made it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even with when he says Q said, you won't be slept on, you the nigga to bet on.
Mm-hmm.
And you
Mm-hmm.
hear that, bring it back to Drake. Drake would say that in like a very like bravado, egotistical way.
Right.
Whereas Kendrick said it as something he protected.
Absolutely.
He
He's like he
appreciated it,
wanted to
he
write like
protected it.
Al. He
Mhm.
was I hope I could be as good as him one day.
Yeah.
And there was a love letter to his friends,
To his friends.
and and to his young self,
Mm-hmm.
and that we don't get to see Black men in this vulnerable space. He said everything other than "I love these niggas" deep.
But he didn't say that. But he did say that.
He
It,
did.
I I tried to do this video and I just kept crying, so it was like really choppy and I kept cutting it out. But like the fact that we don't think about how Black people and their genius shows up,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing that if in any other genre, any other field of study, any
Mm-hmm.
other art form, this person would be recognized as a bona
Absolutely.
fide genius
Absolutely.
without hesitation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I got into. I'm not proud of this moment. I'm just going to tell you, but I did. It was this over the weekend. I got in an argument with someone online in my comment section, and she was saying that she was disappointed in me because of my degrees. I should know better, and I wasn't upset about her questioning my intellect but because of degrees. I was upset because you don't need a degree to have intellect. It's like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? And that we have to deconstruct those thoughts because there's so many of us who can't see the genius in the beauty of being able to do things with your hands and your mind and your body
Hmm.
that cannot be commodified or understood by people outside of our community.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean it doesn't have value.
Yeah.
And I think because we don't see it and hold it as dear as we should, it keeps us from protecting it. And I feel as though that really is what Kendrick is saying to us.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think?
When he got on stage at the Grammys and he's like, protect the art form, respect the art form.
He was pretty much like, everybody's welcome. I'm
Yeah.
not saying you got to be Black, but you
Yeah.
do need to be careful.
Yeah.
This is
And
not
he was
yours.
very clear about it. People are like, oh, he didn't say this. He said everything.
He did. He did.
He said everything. Both times he stood up there. It was about, and then the interview he did before the Super Bowl,
Yes.
protect the art form. I love this thing.
I live it.
I
And
live it. I love
yeah.
it. It's changed my life. Tyler says the same thing. It's changed my life. It's changed the people around me. There are people, and when he said this, I'm a crier. Whatever. I was like, I don't like to cry. I cry.
I cry.
Um, I don't
We
like
cry.
it, but
We
I
cry
do
together.
cry. um, when he said that there are people in his neighborhood who can do all kinds of things but
Mm-hmm.
express themselves.
Mm.
He can do that. Why wouldn't he do that?
Why wouldn't he do that? I
Why
did see
wouldn't
that.
he do that? I love that. That's my MO when I write.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
when somebody says, I didn't know how to say that, to me, that is the best compliment, the biggest motivation, the biggest no matter how stressful or upsetting the writing process is or the publishing process is,
Right.
that makes it a little bit more worth it.
Yeah.
Because when you're trying to be understood and figure out the words to say, and somebody says, yo, you said it the way I would have said it, or
Right.
the way I couldn't say it, that's so powerful. And the fact that
Yeah.
he recognizes that and
Mm-hmm.
holds that dear,
Dear. Because he knows it destroys people when they can't.
yeah,
And that
yeah,
those of us who understand where our gifts lie know that they aren't to serve ourselves, they're a tool. That you're supposed to use it as a tool to do what you're supposed to do, even if you don't want to do it. I'm sure you've been there too.
mhm.
Like, you've got to do it
Today,
because
right
it's
now,
not for you. It's not for you.
yeah,
It's coming through you,
yeah,
but it's not for you. And whatever it's supposed to do, it will do that because it's going to reach who it's intended to reach, because you are the vessel that is going to come through. So you're right when he said that they can't even look you in the eyes without getting upset,
yeah,
but they can listen to this and understand, oh, that's what I was trying to say.
yeah.
instead of stabbing you. That was really it's like they get violent, but feelings will make you violent if you've been taught to never have them.
Yeah.
You've been taught to never have them, and so this person that's from where you're from is coming out and not talking down to you,
Yeah.
but speaking up for you
Yeah.
in a way that resonates with you, and then we get to enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. So that's what you writers do. You're like, yeah,
Well, I
yeah.
love that he's always reminding us of who he could have been. Like,
Mhm.
this is where I come from. This is who I could have been. What could have happened.
Yeah,
And there are people there that it's still happening to, that are still being
right.
who that I couldn't. When people the big critique of Mr. Morale is the presence of Kodak Black,
Because he is
and to
problematic,
me,
but it's
it
imperfect.
makes so much
It makes
sense
sense.
for who Kendrick is
Mm-hmm.
and for what that album was. If
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go through all of this is who I would have been. And
And
would
he's
you have
right here.
still
Yeah, yeah.
would you have given me a chance?
No,
Do I get a chance to redeem myself and be a better
right.
person
When
without being constantly reminded of the wrongdoing or what have you?
right.
And I think that lesson of grace and self forgiveness in order to be able to
Mm.
forgive others and
Mm-hmm.
to recognize when people need forgiveness and grace.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a huge message. So I get frustrated. I get frustrated when people, and I get sailing into people's comment sections to bully them. When people walk away with the wrong message when it comes to Kendrick, that frustrates me because I feel like he's being so clear
Yeah.
about what he's intending to do and what he wants to do. And so for this is the big one for white people to decide, oh, he's talking about class consciousness. Oh,
He says not at all. I can't wait until we get to the next project and they're like it's terrible and they get back out of here
God, please.
because you're ruining it.
You're ruining it, please. I want him to to do his next album in code. And
Right.
even as as an African American, not an
Right.
African American, if I don't have to understand it, that's fine too.
That's fine.
That's fine. If it's just for like black people from America, okay, granted,
Right.
you got it because I need y'all to have it.
Right.
But do you feel do you sometimes feel like if there was a way for Kendrick to make it so that his tickets could only be bought by black people that he would do that?
I feel like he would. I feel like he would. I will not be going to this concert, and this is the first one I'm not going to. Excuse me. This may not go over well, but I am not a fan of SZA. I don't. It's not for me.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not. I didn't know she was so big because I don't pay
and
attention
people
to
love
her.
her. They
They
love
do.
her. The young lady that does my makeup sometimes, she loves her, and I'm like, This is one of those spaces where I don't get it. So
Yeah,
she was telling me about the things that she writes, and she does all of these things. I was like, that sounds amazing.
yeah.
I won't be at the concert this time. It's like I won't. And I've seen Kendrick the past few times. I went to see Mr. Morale, which was, if you get, have you watched it
Yeah,
online?
I watched it on I watched it when it was on Amazon, and then I watched it on YouTube a couple of days ago. What am I talking about? Yes.
Just when he came out with the little puppet Kendrick, I said, I feel as though these people should not be here and that this should be in a smaller venue, maybe on Broadway or something,
Yeah,
because it's very theatrical.
yeah,
And it wasn't big. It was big that it took up the arena, but it was packed with so much imagery that directly went with the audio
yeah.
that I didn't even understand it until I had to go back and watch it somewhere else. Because in person, I, I wanted to sit with it, and we're moving on.
I think he wants you to be. I think that's why he makes his stuff so available. He wants you to go back to it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no
Mm-hmm.
way you can take anything
You
that he
can't.
does one time,
You're right. You're
one performance. I watched his it's hard to find for some reason, but the Grammy performance, 2016 Grammy performance, when he comes in chains.
In the chains?
Yeah.
With the hair half done and the
Yeah.
black eyes?
Yeah. Yeah.
It makes me cry.
Yeah. The energy that exists in Kendrick's work is another thing that should be studied and
It
should be
should be.
discussed.
Because who on earth says, I miss my Uncle Man? He said he'd kill me if I didn't make it. And we believe him?
Yeah.
That is such a powerful thing.
Yeah.
To come into someone else's space. Like, I will kill you if you don't put everything into this. Now, I'm not here anymore, but you better do this. Or your friend. Or I think you're right. That'll have to be studied hopefully soon.
Yeah.
It's like, because we're going to need to.
Because I hyperfixate and I can't believe it's going on a year and I'm still like here with it. But finding out that he was such a shy kid and that he stuttered and that it was these teachers who recognized what he was and who he could be, and then finding out that he was a straight A student and still running this. You know how smart you have to be a straight A student and still run the street?
Still run the street. So I'd shared that I didn't say that it was one of my classmates from Tuskegee, but Regis Ng was the teacher who made him start writing poetry.
What's the name?
Regis Ng, Inge. And he attended Tuskegee with me. And he went back home because he's from Compton, and Kendrick they kept in touch. He invited him to, performances and stuff, but he said the boys were fighting. It was at a time where the Hispanic boys were moving into the neighborhood and the black boys, and they were like pretty much squabbling all the way home, fighting, and it was starting to come into the classroom. And he wanted for them to have another way to express themselves. And so he brought rap and poetry into the classroom. And so for it to be a black man that introduced this form of expression to him has to have had such a profound impact on how he sees it. And it speaks again to our communities and the importance of the connectivity amongst one another and our stories, whether from here or across the world. We are one another's greatest assets.
Yeah. It bothers me when, and my sister and I talk about this a lot, it bothers me when Black people follow white people into isolation, where their method of conflict resolution is to cut everybody off.
Right.
And that's not what we do.
It's not.
We don't. I mean, for better or for worse, there are things that need to be tweaked and can be tweaked, but we don't cut off all of our family and friends.
Yes. I don't understand that.
I don't understand it either.
I don't understand it. I don't want to say it's cowardice, but I feel as though it's an easier way out than working on it. Can you be connected to everyone the same way? No.
Yeah.
But you must stay connected.
We need community. We are community-based people.
We are. And like you said,
that's how we survive.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And we don't discuss everything, and certainly not everything in public. And so, say no. I just would love to see more Black women, and I know that it's not going to be up to the corporate structures to make these things happen. So we have to do it ourselves, because I think a large part of why so many people feel as though it's something that you can throw away is because everything that they see is so male-centered that there's no need for anything, no kind of conflict resolution, or just to talk like we're talking right now. Like, this is a conversation that you and I are having that is all over the place. That is my favorite kind of
Me
conversation.
too.
It's my favorite kind of conversation because this is how we speak to one another.
Mhm.
That you could meet someone, you're sitting in the airport, you guys are stuck, you can sit and talk for 2 hours, never speak again, and
Mhm.
talk about everything because this is how we speak to one another.
Yeah.
And the absence of this kind of conversation makes it difficult for younger women to pattern
Mhm.
or for men to see the processing of stuff because it's not shown anywhere. The things that we see of Black women are these very highly curated and manicured versions of Black femininity,
Yeah.
which don't exist on the day to day
Yeah.
anywhere.
But the way that conversations have changed and the way that people are emboldened. One thing that I've started to do, despite me being a Kendrick bully, when somebody comes at me like like crazy,
Yeah.
I ask, what did I say to garner this response? Nine
Mm.
times out of 10, oh, I'm sorry, I just meant da 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 da.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, you
I
did
love
because
that. I'm
because
taking that with me.
you take it because 9 times out of 10, and the 10th part they just don't respond.
They don't.
But
Right.
no,
Because they
nobody
were
ever
trying to be
keeps.
mean.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But when
Mm-hmm.
you confront them, what did I say? What specifically did I say?
That brought this energy.
Yeah. And then and on the flip side, if I come at somebody and they're like, oh, whoa, 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 okay, what you heard and what I said
Mm-hmm.
didn't match up, therefore
It's not the
I
same.
didn't communicate it right. So let
Yeah.
me clarify what I'm saying.
Right.
I apologize. Let me be clear.
Yeah.
That's the way we're supposed to communicate with each other.
Right. But we don't see that. And we don't see this. Like just you and I talking today, hip hop, life, whatever. But
Yeah.
Kendrick is that for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know what we can do other than just, keep putting out the art that we want to see in this world. And so yeah. So you're helping me to start out this whole new
I'm
this
glad.
chapter and I appreciate it. So the
I'm gonna talk to you
segment
every
is
week.
yeah, look, girl, don't play. So it's going to be called The Mic is Yours
I love that.
because the mic is passed around to everyone else. But not centered on us in any real way. So let's see where it goes.
Oh, real quick, have you seen Lauren and Doechii on stage?
Doechii is that girl.
Well, she's exactly who she says she is. She's exactly who she thinks she is. And
For her to come
again,
out,
the natural progression of
yes,
hip hop. Her on stage with Lauren Hill makes so much
it
sense.
makes so much sense. And Lauren has never introduced
Never,
anyone to come on stage with her. Girl,
never,
I'm so glad you brought this up.
never. The way she stood back and
And let
she
her do
stopped
it.
her band and said, no, 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 stop, 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 stop. Doechii, you got it. And then sat there and was like watching her and
My proud mama.
oh,
The mic is now hers. Like she can pass it.
yeah.
Doechii is exactly who she set out to be.
Mhm.
The Paris run was generational. That was insane.
Yeah.
That was insane. I'm like, I'm still trying to process it. But then to come back and to come to Florida, and the best part of her outfit was her skin.
I knew that she had on like a bodysuit.
I
I
knew it
knew she had
too.
on like a leather court something. To find out that that was Mama's skin,
Skin.
what?
So see, look, I'm glad we are in the same place because it was again very deliberate because she showed all of that during the Grammy performance.
Mm-hmm.
But she made sure that we understood. No, no, no. This is the best part of the outfit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like this is the best part of the outfit. No, I'm looking forward to the fact that she doesn't have an album. That was an EP.
which I still don't understand what that means, but
What
sure.
does that
I
mean?
don't know. It sounds like
Maybe
an album to me.
it sounds like an album is full,
Yeah.
but that she's a singer and an entertainer and a rapper. She's the next iteration of Lauren. I
Mhm.
don't like to compare people like that.
No, but we needed Lauren and we need Doechii.
We did. We did.
Lauren changed my life. I thought I was her for the longest time
I can
because
see that.
in that
I can see
time
that.
when, like, I love Lil Kim, good job, but
Yeah.
that was not I wasn't her target audience. Like,
Right.
I didn't know what was it, swallow a 7 Up can? I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
the lyric.
No, right. It
That
was
was not my life. I was sheltered and I was on Teen Summit. I don't know what is that. I don't know what you're
like
talking about. But Lauren was the first female rapper to like show up and like
right.
look like me. And she was only like
Yeah.
a year or so older than me. And she felt like me. And I all the stages,
Yeah.
I went through all the stages with her. I was
Yeah.
heartbroken when she disappeared because I
Yeah.
didn't understand it. I understand it
You
now as an
understand it
adult.
now.
Yeah, but back then I was like, I needed her, but she needed her. She
She
needed
needed
her,
her. And
and she
she
went and found
did
that. Yeah,
she did all that she could do. And to be out there by herself, because she
yeah,
really was,
yeah,
um, had to be heartbreaking.
yeah,
But I think Doechii is the person that's built for the next to carry the baton.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
Kendrick, like
love
you
that
said,
she's
Kendrick is
there.
writing it. Like that's part of it. They're both like, okay, we went astray again.
Mm-hmm.
God bless
Mm-hmm.
Nikki. God bless all the women that have come. But like, there are different things to talk about.
Right. Right. And we need all of it.
We need all of it, but we also need, you know
We
what I
need
mean?
that.
Yeah,
Yes, because there is no balance or a counterbalance or counter conversation.
hmm
And I think Dochi's ability to show up as so many versions of herself keeps her from having to be boxed in like Lauren.
hmm hmm
And I love that she learned that. And and I love that Lauren was there to pass that torch to her. Because you can keep your crown
yeah,
and pass the torch.
yeah.
You're not giving up your crown. It stays affixed. It's like she's still Lauren Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, we all needed Lauren. That white when what was that on the Essence? I think it was the Fuji's on Essence back in the day when Lauren had on that white outfit and those like boots and she had like a little scarf. I was like, I've never seen when the locks were like hidden like right here.
So fly. I wanted to be
Oh
here. Ah,
my god. I've
ah.
never seen this. I miss all of that. I miss Essence meaning something to us.
Yeah.
I miss all of it. I want to cuss Essence out so bad. At this point, I'm just like, look, it doesn't matter, and I'm glad we have our mics and that we can set our own course.
Yeah.
Because once corporations get involved, it takes the soul out of it.
Yeah.
It takes the soul out of it. So I'm gonna wrap it up because, girl, we will sit here and talk and
Yeah.
talk and talk.
Wait,
And
wait, real quick,
okay,
real quick, before you
okay,
finish,
okay.
I just want to say I'm so grateful to you for your presence online because of its presence in general, but where I discovered you online because what you're doing is so important. Um, when we get to a certain age, not only do we feel invisible or seem invisible, it's also, I've had a difficult time trying to figure out how to age because I
Mm-hmm.
don't have a real example of that. My mom's been ill for a really long time, so she's been older than
Mm-hmm.
she was for a really long time. So I don't know what it looks like. And I also feel, because of things that I've gone through as for emotionally and mentally, I'm stuck in a certain place. And I'm now starting to realize, okay, I'm getting older. What does it look like? What do I feel
Mm-hmm.
like? What do I say? How do I say it? And you're such a perfect representation of the fact that we can be who we are, hip hop babies, uh, uh, college education, whatever. We can be that and still be so fucking fly. I was talking to a friend of mine and I was like, Kendra is what it looks like for hip hop to be the thing that birthed us. And like you're you and unique in your style, but you're also so hip hop. When I look at you, you're so hip hop. And I just want to tell you how grateful I am and how much I appreciate that. I'm not gonna cry. And how much I am just so happy that you could even see me enough to invite me. Or I'm just so grateful for you. So just I want to say that really quickly, and now you can wrap it up.
Like, thank you so much. I'm like you. I'm trying not to cry because I feel like in so many ways I'm out here by myself, and I know it's needed. I want to quit every day, but I can't. I cannot quit
So necessary.
because there is no guide for aging as a Black woman. There's whatever it works for everyone else, it doesn't work for us because it's not centered
Not the
in
same.
only the way that we look.
Yeah.
And so the conversations about taking care of your mom or being still in community with your mom, what is it like for you to take care of your son and still be concerned about your mother?
Mm-hmm.
White people not talking about that. And then you still want to be cute. It's like
Girl.
you still want to know, like, okay, so but I'm still chasing my dreams, but then I have to support my family in
Yeah.
whatever it is that they're doing. And it's important to me. And I don't want to continue to talk about what looks good. You know why I show up the way that I'd show up online? I show up pseudo glamorous to disarm people,
It's glamorous though, but okay.
but I do it to disarm people
Yeah.
because once I get you to stay, then I can get you to listen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it is unfortunate that that is the game, but I'm not going to argue with the game. I'm going to play the game, but I'm going to do it like our good friend Kendrick, and I'm going to play it my own way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to leave the lessons that my mother blessed me with behind without sharing what I've been able to learn and what I learned from you, that we get to talk about this and be this.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm so glad you see me, sis.
I do.
I'm so glad that you see me because I think it's finally to a place where it's people are looking for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that people are looking for it. But before I let you go, and thank you so much for that, honestly. Yeah, that'll help me to run off. Like, as far as being a writer and being a Black woman, what do you think is one of the things that hip hop has taught you?
Hip hop has taught me. As soon as you said that, I had like 5 different things to say. Hip hop taught me how important it is to allow your voice. Just allow your voice.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the first time that I heard it, and I heard how I heard us. I grew up in Oklahoma, and
Okay.
hip hop came to us late because
It's
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And it was Yo MTV Raps when that
Mm-hmm.
premiered.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, okay. And I saw us in a way that I wasn't used to because we weren't around at that time.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? There was no internet to go find people.
Mm-hmm.
It kept me rooted and it taught me what it was to be Black in America.
Mm-hmm.
And as child of an immigrant, low key an immigrant myself because I was born in Nigeria, that was life changing.
Mm-hmm.
That was life changing. My love for Black people comes from my father. God bless him, because he wasn't playing the African thing. Like, y'all Black.
Okay.
I don't know. Y'all Black.
What all of this other stuff.
I don't
Right.
know what everybody else is talking
Right.
about. You're Black. So we never grew up with like any anti-Black American. My dad was playing Malcolm Speaks on his 8-track
Okay.
recorder.
Yeah. He was.
But it kept me connected to and is a large part, besides my daddy, of why I love us so much.
Mm-hmm.
I love us so much. And hip hop gave me that. Hip hop was like, this is what we love. This is what we
Mm-hmm.
look like all over this country. This is what we look like. This is what we sound like. It gave me me.
It gave you you.
Yeah, it gave me me.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, new
Thank you.
friend.
Thank you.
I
I'm so happy.
appreciate you so